here to Dan Potts, Aquatic Ecologist for the Salt Lake Fish and Game Foundation. Will provide a presentation on the various fish species that can be found in the Jordan River. So here's Dan.
There it is, right?
Yeah, we could see your mode, but not the presentation mode. If you
Oh yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, my name is Dan Potts. I grew up on the west side of Salt Lake City and have been involved with the Jordan River my entire life. Our organization, Salt Lake Fish and Game, has a property on about 5700 South that we're turning into a little bit of a nature preserve and whatnot. So we appreciate those people like State Forestry and Fire who have been helping us to get rid of the phragmites and other things like that. We have a couple of fishing ponds there. We'll talk about fish here in a minute. But my background is that I got hooked on fishing, Dan the fisherman, right? And I went to Utah State University and got a bachelor's in sport fisheries management. Then I went into the Peace Corps for a couple of years to learn more about common carp and other fishes and of the world. And then from there, I went to Auburn University, the largest freshwater fisheries school in the world, and got a master's degree in a combination of ichthyology, that's study of fishes, and aquatic ecology. And so that's me. Okay. So anyway, moving on. So I thought I would start this presentation with our state fish because I'm just going down phylogenetically down through the fishes, but it turns out that it's at the top of the list, and there are four different kinds of Bonneville cutthroat trout. This is one from City Creek, but they've all been polluted pretty much from other genes being introduced into the other cutthroats and rainbows that have been introduced into the area, and so they've hybridized to a certain extent. But of those four strains that we have of our state fish, one is from Bear Lake, a very deep or oligotrophic lake, right? And that fish grows to, like you can see the photo here, grows to pretty good size. And it was introduced many years ago to control another native fish, Utah chub, at Strawberry Reservoir, and it's worked exceptionally well. So much so that it's an award-winning lake. Another race is limited to the West Desert out on Pilot Mountain and the Deep Creeks, and a fourth strain historically existed in Utah Lake, but it's now considered extinct, although they're highly unique adaptations to that lake. It's very shallow, very warm, very muddy, always has been, is amazing. And so there might still be a few of those genes floating around in the other salmonids, the other trouts in the area. But the most common trout in the world probably is the California rainbow trout. It's so widespread that pretty much everybody in the world knows about it. There's a race that runs to the ocean and comes back to spawn called steelhead, and some people know it by that. But in Utah, they've been spread all over the place as catchable rainbow trout, including in the Jordan River. And the brown trout is the most widespread in the world of the salmonids, of the trouts. And it's found all over the place. And in the Jordan, it's usually found around the mouths of tributaries because it's cooler there and whatever. But they're really common. And then brook trout are found in the Jordan on rare occasion because they either come down in high runoff or they might be transported there from the state fair. That's another story. Sorry. But the most important fish by far in the Jordan River is the common Asiatic carp, Cyprinus carpio. It's spread all over the world into natural waters, raised as the world's #1 cultured fish, mostly as the world's #1 freshwater food fish. And also the only one found on the top 20 freshwater sport fish of the world that's found in North America. So all of that gobbledygook of Americans referring to this species as a trash fish is just ludicrous. They're so amazing. This species is so amazing in so many ways. It's just us Americans don't get it. Here's one that I caught a while back. 20 pounder. And that's considered, I caught it in the lower Jordan River. And there are many of these in the lower Jordan. I hooked one the other day. I had no control. It broke off. But most people consider a 20-pound fish, 20-pound carp as a trophy fish. And that would include those people in England where the best anglers are, best carp fishermen are. Their closest relative is common goldfish, another minnow, and they do hybridize with them, although that's really, really rare. But goldfish are in the Jordan River. I started fishing the Jordan River for a single goldfish. I think it was 13, 14. I spent the whole summer fishing for a goldfish, never caught it. But goldfish aren't even as smart as common carp. So there you go. Humans have domesticated carp for centuries, resulting in unusual forms like this mirror carp that many people have seen, and they're fairly common in the Jordan River, these mirror carp. But I caught this one about a block away from my house. This is a hybrid between a common carp and an ornamental koi carp. People have been introducing all kinds of fishes into the Jordan River for many, many years. And this 13-pounder ended up in my garden. I killed it and buried it in my garden as fertilizer. Years ago, when I came back from graduate school, I did help Wasatch Fishing Gardens. They had a cooperative that I created to harvest tons of large, great-eating carp from the Rudy Duck Club, which is right at the very end of the Jordan River, basically. And these large, shallow ponds kind of operated to make the fish more edible, if you will, because they generally operated like sewer treatment ponds to reduce the pollutants, and the fish were just very large and very good to eat. And so the cooperative that involved people from all over the world really appreciated that. Fish averaged about 10 pounds. But I prefer to eat common carp at less than 10 inches or greater than 10 pounds. But I ain't eating any carp out of the lower Jordan River. So if you want to get with me to figure out how to eat them, I also like carp over 10 pounds so that I can scale them under the water and gut them and everything, head them and all that afterwards, and then put them on the barbecue. It's very easy and efficient if the fish come from like Utah Lake or some other water where the quality of the flesh is really good. And then here's the carp that I typically would catch every year out of the Jordan River, out of the lower Jordan. There's a wheelbarrow full. I caught in about an hour and a half, and I just bury them in my backyard so I can grow better tomatoes. And so, because I certainly can't eat them, they're just too much pollution in the lower Jordan. And then other fishes in the Jordan River included this minnow, the fathead minnow. It's the most widespread live bait fish used in America, and so it's no surprise that it ended up here. This is a male. You can see his dark head with his little bumps on his nose so he can spawn. Females are usually smaller in many of these fishes and duller, but they're relatively rare in the Jordan. This Utah chub, as I mentioned earlier, was once much more common in Utah Lake and in the Jordan River. But because they, kind of competed with rainbow trout so much, they've been highly reduced all over the state of Utah, including in the river and in the lake. And so we're trying to get them back, but I don't know. That's not looking good. And then there's one other fish that was introduced, a golden shiner, that was another bait fish used for fishing. But it has pretty much disappeared. The last one I saw was down almost into the Great Salt Lake, so they're not real common. And then here's a very common fish in the Jordan. This is should be our state fish, the Utah sucker. And it's extremely widespread in the drainage and all of the lakes and streams of northern Utah. And the only problem is that it did hybridize early on in Utah Lake. There was a special strain there that had existed for probably 15,000 years or so. But they have been hybridizing with another genus, another sucker, the June sucker, and so they're really difficult to identify between the two. And it's been a problem for the program to recover June suckers. But early ichthyologists named that hybrid, that intermediate form, the wee-bug sucker. They knew what was going on. But here's the June sucker, and along with other lake suckers that once lived in Lake Bonneville, that huge flood that broke into the Snake River Basin left this species of lake sucker stranded in Utah Lake, and it later became, because of poor land use practices and other human issues, was reduced to almost maybe not even 350 individuals when we tried to save it with the Endangered Species Act. And I've been involved with that for the last 20 some odd years. But it's obviously in the Jordan River because the water flows downhill, right? And then other suckers that might be present. A white sucker were found once, maybe as a bait fish was introduced. And then we have a native fish, the mountain sucker, that sometimes, like brook trout, sometimes find their way all the way downhill to the Jordan. Another really common fish in the Jordan River, however, everywhere in the Jordan, are black bullhead catfish. And they are extremely easy to catch, and they're great to eat. But again, we're not eating them out of the lower Jordan. That would be I already glow in the dark. I don't I don't need to eat any more stuff like that. People who know black bullheads know that they're extremely hardy and they can live a long time out of water. What's really cool about them is that in the upper Jordan, right as it comes out of Utah Lake, male bullheads, when they stop guarding their babies, which are called big in school of them, it's called a mill. And when these mills get abandoned by their male who was defending them, they all join ranks and form large schools right on the surface in the early mornings, and especially early summer, late spring, and you can see them out on the surface. Don't touch them though. Those little spines they have are extremely sharp and will really give you pain, so you don't want to be near them. Another catfish, however, in the river is the channel catfish. It's really well known all across America as a for sport and food fish, and it's found throughout Utah also. Very aggressive and easy to catch. They're great to eat out of Utah Lake and especially out of the upper Jordan River, where I may have never eaten better tasting catfish than the ones that my niece caught right here in this photo. And then some other fish that are interesting is the western mosquito fish, distributed mostly by mosquito abatement districts to help control mosquitoes, mostly in Utah's warmer lowland waters, where we have more mosquitoes that are carrying bad diseases. But they're small and pretty much common everywhere. The females are larger than the males and pretty obvious, swimming around on the surface usually. And then here's another one that's rare in the Jordan because, again, it comes down out of the mountain streams, is the mottled sculpin. It's found everywhere in all streams that have trout pretty much. So, and then here's one that's really common in Utah Lake and everywhere in the Jordan River drainage, and even south into Bountiful Pond, for Gad's sakes. And that's white bass. They're extremely numerous at times and are very aggressive. They swim around in schools typically, and they're especially when they're going to spawn, they're just amazingly easy to catch. And as a result, you can catch a lot of them. And where there's no limit restrictions, you could fill your freezer with meat if you know how to deal with them. They're a little bit more difficult to fillet and deal with, and they're like dealing with cutting up bluegill. You got to fillet them and all that. And then one of the number one top best eating fish in all of North America is the black crappie. They're found in the Jordan, but they're mostly a slackwater species, and so you don't see them very much. And the same with bluegill. Bluegill is the number one kid fish in America, for sure. And we have more of them probably in community fishing ponds adjacent to the river, but they are found in the Jordan. And then here's one that's found everywhere. In fact, this is a green sunfish, is so common that experts suggest that if anyone finds one, there must be water somewhere nearby. Although they're usually less than 6 inches, they can be very aggressive. And mean greenies usually live in calm, heavy cover near the shore, easily caught by children because they're near the shore. A kid caught one in front of me the other day that was about 6 inches long, and they're gorgeous little things, but mean greenies. And then this is the big one is a largemouth bass. It's the #1 sport fish in all of North America. More money is spent fishing for this species than any other fish in North America. And there's a few found in the Jordan, but they're pretty rare. And then smallmouth bass, sorry for the poor photo. I didn't realize. They're rare. They're even rarer than largemouth bass, although they are a river fish. And then yellow perch have also found their way from Utah Lake down into the Jordan River, and they're found in smaller schools, but that's the #1 freshwater food fish in all of North America. And then here's another yummy one, walleye. Walleye extremely popular, both as a sport and a food fish in North America, and they're found in the Jordan, but in relatively low numbers. And you wouldn't want to eat them in the lower Jordan where they're more common anyway, because it's just so.
Hey, Dan. Hey,
Hang on,
Dan,
yeah.
Soren here. I know you've got a few more slides to go through.
I'm done. I'm almost done.
Oh, are you? Okay, we're running out of time for our next presenters, so just want to see if you can wrap this up. And
Well, you're taking up my time.
okay, sorry.
Okay, this is northern pike. Some idiot put them in Utah Lake. I caught the first one, but in Utah Lake. But now they're become common, so they're probably in the Jordan. And then aquarium fishes get into the Jordan. And here's one that's classic. It's an oriental weatherfish that is really cool. And I found them all the way up into the lower Provo River. Including in the stomach of a brown trout in a food habit study. So my current total for fishes in the Jordan is about 30, but that number keeps going up because people keep letting things go in there. But the fishing opportunities are really great. And so, we don't have enough good fishing spots. We need some more fishing spots. And so I think the commission is working on making that better. Also, if you want to check that list, most of those fishes are found on the fauna or the vertebrates of the Jordan River corridor. That's found on the commission's website. So thanks. Any other specific questions I can answer quickly?
Dan, I'll just note I had a very up close personal experience with a fishing activity down near the Little Cottonwood Creek the other day when we were paddling the river, and I got about a 2-inch fish hook in me that was dangling from a tree. So we know the Jordan River is a really popular place to fish, and you're right, we need to continue working on developing better places for people to fish. And think about some of the waste that gets left behind. We have, as we've been doing our reconnaissance, we found several locations where there's fish hooks and strings and stuff.
Sure. So what I've been promoting, though, primarily for common carp, is that common carp we're using really tiny hooks, very, very small hooks. And so you don't have that issue of great big hooks hanging down. I'm with you. I don't do that either. Okay, thanks, Soren.
Here's mine hanging on my wall now.
Oh, no. Did you get it out of your skin? No.
Yeah, I had to go to the minor emergency room.
I also, most anglers also promote bending the barbs of the hooks down. And so that way you can get it back out of yourself or out of your buddy or out of the fish or whatever.
Well, thank you, Dan. It's always great to learn about these great wildlife.
Sure. Thanks.
We'll need to move on. Thank you for joining us, and we'll share this information with everybody on the TAC too.
Yeah, and so I'll send that PowerPoint to you guys, and you can put it online or whatever.
Great.
Perfect.
I was going to ask if you could send the PowerPoint. So thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it.